What's going on, Flock? Happy Thursday. It is 12:06 Eastern in the afternoon on the 10th of October. We're approaching week 6 of this NFL season, so much so it begins tonight with a little bit of Thursday night football. And, of course, we're working our way up to Ravens and Commanders, 1 o'clock inside the bank on Sunday. Today's live stream is brought to you by our friends at Mantis Sleep. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined alongside Sarah Ellison. And we've got a lot to get to today. Would be remiss. Hopefully, all of you within the Florida community, I know there's a good contingent of Ravens Flock members down there. Hopefully, you guys walked away from last night unscathed. I know my Orlando family, my St. Pete family on the West Coast. There's a lot going on down there in the West Coast. Certainly, some parts. Sarasota got hit pretty darn hard. Tampa last night. So hopefully, you guys are doing okay, out of harm's way. And Sarah, we've got a lot to get to today, including a ton of different media sessions that were had yesterday, both in Washington and in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson and Jayden Daniels talking about one another. Well, one of many things that we got coming up.
You can tell they have a massive respect for one another. And so they have that in common, but they have one other thing in common, and that's that they don't want to be likened to one another. So they were very clear about that. Very, very clear. And we'll get to that later on.
Yeah. Also, Lamar was hilarious responding and kind of giving more explanation towards this Bengals troll, this grandma, as a couple people online referred to her as, from a restaurant in Cincinnati last weekend. We've got all other audio and video from press conferences, including Roquan talking his talk, Kyle Hamilton talking about the defensive miscues, and a number of other things, including both teams' injury reports as of Wednesday afternoon. So with that, let's dive right into it. Who do we want to hear from first, Sarah, Jayden or Lamar?
I think Jayden was kind of first, to speak. And so not surprisingly, he's been asked a lot about Lamar Jackson, if he sees himself in Lamar, all that kind of stuff. And he just was straight up. He showed respect, but then made his message clear.
I don't know. I mean, I think, growing up, high school, you get comparisons for college, and then college, you get kind of within the draft comparisons of who this is, kind of the skill set is like. But I'll say for me, it's kind of just, go out there and trying to be unique and trying to be not really different from everybody, and appreciate what they could do, because you always learn stuff from other quarterbacks within the league. I'm not closed-minded. I always want to be able to grow, but, at the end of the day, I want to be known as Jayden Daniels and not the next such and such.
Honestly, it's funny because we're sitting here and they're saying they don't want to be compared. The funny thing is, Bobby, is Lamar's been saying that same thing for quite some time. Like, he's been asked so many times, who do you compare yourself to? He's like, nobody. I just want to be me. So in a day that we're not supposed to be comparing, there's the first comparison, is that they both want to be unique and they both want to be true to themselves.
I love it. It reminds me of a younger Lamar, right? And
yeah.
From the jump, we've come to realize that about Lamar. And here he is, as you compiled on Twitter, a ton of different clips that sort of, represented all of the Jayden comparison questions that he fielded yesterday at his presser.
Glimpses of his play on social media and stuff like that, and he's going off. He doing what we seen in college. What got him the Heisman, no doubt.
Jayden, how much did you watch him in college, and what were your guys' early impressions of him?
I wasn't really able to catch games. I really don't catch a lot of college games, but when I did watch him play, he was just doing an amazing job. That's why he had my Heisman vote. So
Jayden said he doesn't want to be compared to you. He doesn't want to be compared to anybody. He wants to be his own guy. Reminiscent of, I think, the approach you've always taken.
I agree. He's his own player. He's his own man. At the end of the day, we trying to make a name by ourselves, not anyone else. So I agree with that. Definitely.
What do you think about the evolution of the quarterback position from where it was to where it is today?
I'm just glad, that teams are just accepting that now. Instead of just guys going through hassle and just trying to get mocked or whatever. But guys are proving it, just stepping in the league and doing what they're supposed to do. So that's helping it out even more.
Do you ever think about how other quarterbacks look at you like a Jayden Daniels as an inspiration, because you're now in this position where you're paving the way for others?
I really don't sit back and think about it, to be honest. I believe just because I'm still playing and it's still, I believe, early in my career, so I really don't sit back and dwell on it. So I don't know.
Do you feel like what you've done here has played a hand in that and forced teams to kind of evolve the way they think about players with their talent?
So I don't know. I'm not the one picking the players.
Biggest takeaway there, Sarah, is like, yeah, I don't blame him, basically, right? Paraphrasing, for wanting him to be one of one in his own eyes and not have any of those comparisons. And clearly these two have a relationship. You screenshot Jayden's Instagram post within the last 24 hours here, and kind of a cool caption
I think it was
here.
last week. It was last week.
Okay.
Yeah, very recent. Yeah.
Cool caption, though, from Jayden within the last week or so. New kid on the block with a few photos of his most recent. Oh, I'm sorry. This was looks like it was the Monday night game
against the Bengals. Yeah.
Yeah, this first slide again in Cincinnati, and Lamar gives a few emojis in the comment section, 2 100s and a star, and that he has been so far through 5 weeks. He's been voted the Pepsi Rookie of the Week from, week 4 out of the 5 weeks so far this season. So certainly probably in the driver's seat for Offensive Rookie of the Year. And here's a look at 2018 rookie Lamar through his first 5 games, which of course were in the second half of the season, versus Jayden's so far these last 5 weeks in Washington. They were both 4-1, or in Jayden's case, he is 4-1. Completion percentage of 59% for Lamar to Jayden's 77%. More passing yards for Jayden. Obviously, Lamar was using his legs a lot more often back then. 731 passing yards for Lamar to Jayden's 1,135. They each threw 4 passing touchdowns, and Lamar ran it for 427 versus Jayden's 300.
Yeah, so just a couple of things here, Bobby, to back up to those clips from Lamar. As you pointed out, he definitely has respect for Jayden. I'm glad that he agrees that Jayden gets to be Jayden and not be compared to him. It would be unfair to put those expectations on him. What I also liked from Lamar was that it's the typical modest Lamar who will not pat himself on the back. How many times do they try to set it up? It's like, okay, fine. Jayden's his own guy, but you kind of helped pave the way for a guy like Jayden, who was picked. I think he was the second quarterback picked.
Yes.
Maybe number 2 overall. And whereas Lamar had to wait till number 32, right? And so obviously there are other dual threat quarterbacks that came before Lamar. Michael Vick, Cam Newton. We can keep going back all the way to Steve Young, right? And maybe even before then. And so Lamar, in my opinion, has taken this dual threat quarterback to a whole other level where he and the Ravens have been unashamed to run. Absolutely unashamed. And so did Lamar maybe pave the way a little bit easier for somebody like Jayden? I think so. I think he had a hand in that along with other quarterbacks. But Lamar was not going to accept that praise. Just constantly like, I don't know, I guess. I don't know, I guess. So just kind of backing up here to your point on these slides, to me, the whole reason people are excited for this game, yeah, they're both dual threats, but it's that top line, Bobby. Both coming in, here's what they do have in common. And I don't think that it's a bad thing to say this, even though we're saying not to compare. So they've both just turned around organizations. Now, Commanders at a whole different level, but the Ravens under Joe Flacco that year before Lamar came out, they were struggling. They were struggling under Joe Flacco the past couple of years before Lamar came. It's one of the reasons why they drafted him. To start out as 4-1 in their first 5 starts lets you know that they're stars, as Lamar kind of pointed out with that emoji. They have confidence. They know who they are. Styles, they're different guys, right? They're similar, but they're also different. Lamar has those. I read somewhere Dan Orlovsky was trying to compare them in terms of their styles. And Dan was like, well, Lamar can do more crazy side arm angle stuff. He can be a little bit more off the cuff stuff that you just can't teach somebody else. Whereas Jayden, he'll drop back and he's got more like repeatable arm motions, that type of thing. They both, this was their rookie years. Lamar definitely ran more their rookie year. In terms of this year, Lamar, they're very similar in passing yards. Jayden has a higher completion percentage. Lamar has way more passing touchdowns, almost double. They've got very similar quarterback ratings, 107 for Lamar, 106 for Jayden. Lamar's got more rushing yards, but some of the difference there is that Lamar is a little bit more designed runs. That's more a function of the Ravens, though, putting that in. Jayden, more scrambling yards. So whatever. They're similar, but the biggest thing is that you got to let them be their own people. But the biggest thing is that they're winners. They come out so far, they're winners. They've come out and they've turned their organizations around in their first 5 games.
Yeah, there's no denying that if you want to be compared to Lamar, who is hard to believe, like one of the OGs in this league at this point, maybe not by age, but by service time. This is his 7th year. And there's no denying that if you want to be compared to him as one of the up-and-coming guys, it's a lofty journey ahead. The Ravens have 69 wins since Lamar was drafted. That trails just Kansas City, who has 79, of course, since 2018. And in the spirit of comparison, a veteran tight end who has been around this league, accomplished a lot, and is now in Washington, Zach Ertz, Sarah. I thought he really kind of pinpointed where this conversation should be.
Compare anyone to Lamar. He's a 2-time MVP, one of the best players in the league for a very long time. And he just had his 5th game in the league. We got all the confidence in the world that he's going to be in that in that conversation for a long time. But I think it's a disservice to both players, honestly. I think Lamar's, I can't speak highly enough of him, and I can't speak highly enough of Jayden as well. But it's still so early in his career. And it's about continued success in this league. And we got all the confidence in the world that Jayden's going to be that guy for a long time. But we also don't need him to feel like he's got to go out there and outdo Lamar. He's just got to go out there and be the best version of himself. And that goes for the same for all of us.
Knowing that. Shout out to Sam Fortier from the Washington Post for that video in the locker room yesterday. But if that's not spot on, I'm not sure what is. And that is a veteran perspective right there.
I mean, he's absolutely, because look at this, Bobby. You can't compare, like, it's unfair to put that weight on him, right? Like, again, Jayden, rookie of the week, 4 out of 5 weeks, that's phenomenal. That's great. But 69 wins over 7 years is another level. 3-time MVP is another level.
Two-time, yeah.
Excuse me, 2-time MVP, three-time Pro Bowler. Somebody said in the chat, Sarah, point out Lamar's passing yards. I already did that. They're very similar. Very similar. It's the passing touchdowns. Here's what I didn't know. Jayden, he's tall. He's 6'4".
Oh yeah.
Lamar's 6'2", and he's 210.
He's so lean. Jayden is so
skinny.
lean.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't put on. It's almost like Nate Wiggins though,
yeah,
where he hasn't put on his grown man weight yet. He hasn't grown into his body fully.
Yeah.
Lamar is more a grown man at 27. You know,
sure.
Jayden Daniels is 23. So with 2 more inches, he's only 5 pounds heavier than Lamar. But yeah. No, but back to Zach Ertz. I mean, he's absolutely right. You can't put that pressure on Jayden and be like, hey, go out duel Lamar. If you just go do what you're supposed to do, then maybe you can. But there's, being a biased Ravens podcaster, Bobby. I would love
using other people's words there.
I am biased, and I know I'm rooting for Lamar. I know I like Jayden, but I'm rooting for Lamar. And as a biased Ravens podcaster, I want to see Lamar go out there and be like, hey, you're great, but I want him to take on the Tom Brady role. That's more like, hey, keep it up, but also watch this.
I'm still here.
Yeah,
this is what you're working towards.
Also, yeah, exactly.
I got you.
And I want him to say that with his play, obviously not with his words. With his play, I want him to be like, hey, you're off to a great start, but watch this. This is how you do it into year 7.
Well, he certainly is off to a stellar start. And when you look at the last time a quarterback was off to this kind of stellar start, with it, which there was a lot of belief around this guy, Robert Griffin III. I think it just shows you, reaffirms why there is this tremendous infusion of excitement down south of us, those of us who are in the Baltimore area. And look at RG3's numbers through his first 5 career NFL games. And by the way, he went on to becoming the Rookie of the Year. Let's not forget. So Jayden could be heading in that direction as well. But
You know what I saw?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were finished with your thought. Go ahead.
I was going to rip through for the audio only
sure.
audience, the numbers here in terms of the comparisons. But passer rating, 101 flat for RG3 to 106.2 for Jayden. They each threw 4 passing touchdowns through their first 5 career games. RG3 had 1 pick. Jayden has 2 total touchdowns. They both had 8 and 2 total turnovers through 5 games. And passing yards were pretty similar. Rushing yards, Jayden has RG3 300 to 241. So again, it's 5 games, but you can speak. This just kind of speaks to why there's this new renewed sense of hope down south.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting to. As I saw 2 really good hype videos that I couldn't bring in for copyright purposes, but one was a Washington Commanders one where it had the audio of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like talk of like, hey, you're the one, you're going to finish what we started. Other great Jedis before him. Right. And so like when they were showing former greats like RG3, like he was going to finish what RG3 tried to start, and other former, commanders or, Washington back in the day, quarterbacks. And so they see him like they're putting him up on a pedestal like he's the chosen one, right, to finish what they've been so close to get a couple times. And by the way, when it was perfect in that video where they had the Star Wars background audio, they had Darth Vader coming in with breathing. Yeah. And that's when Lamar Jackson came out in his all black out of the tunnel. So they had Lamar Jackson as Darth Vader, and that, their Jedi had to go and beat Darth Vader. So, honestly, I think that the Ravens would love that role. Like, right. They like to be the bullies. They like to be the bad guys that were like, especially in the all black late at night kind of thing. So I thought it was really good. The other hype video that I saw was put to who's going to run this town. Obviously, DC and Baltimore are different towns, but it's kind of the same area, very close to one another. So they had Lamar and Jayden clips going back and forth of like, okay, who's going to run this town? Like, who's it going to be? So Bobby, I cannot, this is going to be such a good game.
Definitely.
It's going to be such a good game. As we got here on the screen, the Ravens are favored by 6.5 points, which is pretty big. Obviously at home, so that'll be nice. But I'm just so excited. This is going to be just a phenomenal game because it was fun to watch, obviously, Lamar and Pat. It was fun to watch Lamar and Allen. It was fun to watch Lamar and Burrow, and all of those lived up to the hype. What's kind of exciting about this one is the unknown because Jayden's still so young. Right. We've seen Lamar match up against these other guys, and how fortunate are we? Because they're in the NFC. It's not like we get to see Lamar the way we do against all these other guys because they're all in the AFC and we get to see them frequently. Like, we've never seen this. We don't know how they're going to respond. It's going to get your popcorn ready at 1 p.m. because it's going to be absolute fireworks.
Yeah. Some of my studying up this week on the Washington side of things has consisted of tune in to 106.7 The Fan down there. And Grant Paulson is one of the radio personalities. He's going to be our weekly guest for the Commander side of things tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern. So about 24 hours from right now. Looking forward to having him on. But there's a lot of people that are taking exception to that Vegas spread right there, that 6.5 point underdog. Obviously 4-1 start. They're one of the best offenses in the league. They're putting up a ton of points, but Vegas still likes Baltimore, given the OGs, given the experienced group here,
and Bobby,
the edge at home.
This is why I constantly say Baltimore has to get used to, even though the Chiefs are the absolute top dogs, because as the Super Bowl defending champions 2 years in a row, the Ravens have to get used to not being the underdog. They have to get used to it. because that type of motivation, that's usually what the Ravens like to grab onto. Oh, you're going to disrespect us like that. Okay. 6.5 underdogs. Okay. We're going to show you. It's so fun to do that when nobody has expectations. But to me, it's harder to live up to expectations that are already high. So unless the opponent is the Chiefs, almost every other opponent that comes by, the Ravens could be favorites like that. You have to be built to be the top dog. You have to be built to have everybody else coming after you. You have to be built for people to say, oh, Jayden Daniels is not the next Lamar Jackson. He's better than Lamar Jackson. You got people saying that. I've seen the Commanders fan base. I've seen photos with them right next to each other and people putting the greater sign next to Jayden. I've seen people be like, "Oh, Lamar is a poor man's Jayden Daniels." It's out there. You are the two-time MVP. You got people trying to aspire to what you are. The Ravens have a history of being a winning franchise, 2 Super Bowls in just 25 years. Again, it's not the absolute best. The Chiefs have that. But for 30 other teams, you're often going to be the top dog. Are you built to have high expectations and still meet them? It's so important that they get used to not being the underdog. They have to.
NFL's making them feel like they are with all these primetime and standalone games. CBS is probably making them feel like they are with this A team, right? It's going to be Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson for a 1 o'clock slate. They're typically in the 4 o'clock slate, depending on what the game looks like. So this is one of those games that NBC wanted. Like I mentioned earlier in the week, NBC tried to flex this thing into the primetime slate at 8:20. Thank goodness CBS protected its contractual right to keep that thing at the 1 o'clock slate. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Mantis Sleep, and this is the official sleep mask of us here inside the vault. You guys know how it goes by now. Here are a few of their best sellers. I know I have the Mantis Sleep Mask Pro over in my bedroom right down the hallway. I know Sarah's son, Aiden, loves the sound mask with the built-in Bluetooth feature. You've got more of your traditional styles as well with the silk and sleep masks. If you find something you like and you're looking at right now the website, mantisleep.com, use our discount code at checkout. Holiday season's right around the corner. I'm sure birthdays are this time of year as well. I know I saw just alone for my father's on the 8th the other day. There were like Facebook told me there were like 6 other friends that I had that I grew up with that were all on October 8th as well. So whether it's birthdays, holidays, whatever, the Mantis Sleep Mask and all their different varieties and options they have could be a great fit for a loved one, for a significant other. For a friend, for a family member, and use our discount code VAULT10 if you do so. VAULT10. You'll get 10% off your next purchase. You can find a link. There is one pinned in the live chat, and there's more information on getting to the site as well in the show notes below. Special thanks to Mantis Sleep for continuing to support what we're building here. Let's get to a couple super chats before we get to more media and video from yesterday. Deshaun says, I'm calling a Ravens boat race this weekend. 31. I love that phrase. 31-10. Perfect setup for one of those games. Also, Marcus Williams has to go. Our defense is terrible when he's out there. Deshaun Davis.
It's so funny. Like before I read the rest of it, I was like, oh, 32-10 against the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL right now. Deshaun must have a lot of faith that the Ravens defense is going to turn things around. But in the next line, he says that the defense is terrible. So yeah. I don't know how they're going to keep him to 10. I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. We'll certainly see that. Daniel Rodriguez, a.k.a. D-Rod, with a $20
I love that orange. I love the orange. Woo.
That's right. Deshaun
By the way, I love the yellow from Deshaun. Yeah.
I was going to say, Deshaun hits us with a $9.99. D-Rod follows that up with a $19.99. It looks like he was a viewer last night. He says, just want to give Bobby his flowers, how he handled himself. A very genuine response. They try to paint a narrative, and you handled yourself with grace. Never changed for anyone, Bobby Baltimore. D-Rod, first and foremost, D-Rod, thank you. He's referring, for those of you who maybe aren't familiar, with the lunch break hot take crew. I went on with them last night after they called out a few of my tweets about the Orioles last week, called out my brand name, Bobby Baltimore, and a number of other things. Thought it was relatively spirited conversation, relatively productive, and I'm just honestly kind of ready to move on from it. And yeah, I appreciate them for having me on, and I appreciate you, D-Rod, for not only tuning in, but also showing us some love via the Super Chat feature. Shall we get to more podium and more aspects of?
Can I just? I know Lisa didn't do a super chat, but Bobby
Oh,
and
oops.
Sarah, I get a break from chemo on Monday. I go back 10, 21, 24. Enjoy the break, Lisa.
Come on, Lisa.
You got this, girl.
Keep it coming.
Fight as much as you can. Fight that, pound that chest if you need to. Sorry we can't do more, but we hope that we can distract you from that whenever you get a chance to listen to us. And we just got one more super chat again from Deshaun Davis. So now he's up to 20 with 2 yellows. He says, I know it doesn't make sense, but the NFL doesn't make sense either. So true. So true.
2 yellows. Two yellows make an orange.
2 yellows make an orange.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. All 1,400 of you. That number is growing here on this Thursday. Please like the video on your way in or on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content here in the
Can I
new
just
lunch
say
hour.
one more thing before we move on to content? And
Sure.
this will be it because I know you want to move on. It's been a week for Mr. Trossett, and you are handling it with grace, and you always power through. And I just want to say I appreciate you, and it's only going to go up from here.
Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate all of our when we're not on the air, we have tremendous conversations. You're so supportive. We're not just referring to
Lunchbox.
the heat
there's other stuff.
It's just life legal stuff. And that's what it is when you're out on your own and when you're running this business the way that we are together. There's learning curves. There's things that come out of the blue that you have to handle, and then you have to learn from. And I've been doing a lot of that recently. So it's going to be for the better. Everything's fine. Nobody has died. We are in good shape here, and we're getting ready for maybe the game of the week. And I just keep reflecting back to what the first 5 weeks have been. I mean, there is just tremendous interest around this group. The toe in week 1 and the rematch of the AFC title game. I know it's not what you wanted, but week 2, there was a tremendous amount of interest because of the loss, right? And Gardner Minshew coming in for a second consecutive year. From there, you almost blow a massive lead in Dallas. Then you rip apart Buffalo in front of a national audience. And then last week was what it was, the game of the year. So there's just been a lot of interest. There's a lot of discussion, and we're having a blast following along the way we are. So where to next?
Should we do I don't know if you want to get to it, but we forgot about a Dan Quinn thing on Lamar. Do we want to do that?
Definitely. Listen to what the new head coach of the Washington Commanders had to say about game planning for number 8.
Both teams are going to have to deal with this, but dealing with a quarterback like Lamar, what challenges and how much does it keep defensive coordinators up at night to have to stop a guy like that?
It does, a lot. And I had this conversation yesterday with somebody. When you can extend the plays, that obviously, changes how you go about things. And so some quarterbacks need extra, people for spy. Sometimes you want to have zone where there's vision to go. And it's the second play usually that can be the most challenging. A first play may begin as a pass, and then as the second one begins, outside the pocket. And he has just had remarkable, success, with his arm and with his legs. And so, he is absolutely a threat.
Whole lot of respect there coming from Dan Quinn before the reporter could even get their question out. He was like, yes, this guy is keeping me up at night. And that's been the case for a long time with those opposing defensive coordinator press conferences, Sarah.
It's crazy. Well, one more thing on Lamar before we move into a few other pressers. So we all remember the Bengals troll, right? The Bengals troll, the perhaps grandma from Cincinnati. If you don't remember, let's just refresh your memory. This was before the Bengals game.
Your ass to
Who? What team?
It's gonna be her fault too.
What team?
It's her fault.
What team?
It's her fault.
What team gonna beat us?
Today, the Bengals.
So you can see Lamar being like, it's going to be her fault. It's going to be her fault if the Ravens were to win, which they did, as we know. And so Lamar was at podium yesterday, and thank goodness for Jonas Schaefer, because it was the last question of the presser. I'm so glad he asked about it. He said, can you give us some behind the scenes details to how that all went down? And here's Lamar with not just explaining how it happened, but he has an impersonation of his troll that, well, is catching a lot of attention.
Well, it was supposed to be private for us. It was me, Eddie Jackson, Zay. We were just eating. And the guy who owned the restaurant just kept, like, letting people, oh, yeah, this person, like, I don't even almost curse. But, like, I don't know this lady, you know, but it was a black lady walked in. She was just, yeah, I'm a Louisville fan, but I'm a Cincinnati fan. She was nice. She was cool. And the other lady come in, and we're going to kick your ass. I'm like, I got mad. So I'm like, you know, she going to be the reason, like, you know, we end up winning. I wonder how she felt after that, though. Like, cause she probably seen it. Like, one of her grandsons or something probably showed it to her. But yeah, just be a fan next time. Just let us play. Like, let the guys do the talking. Y'all just be the fans, though.
Was that what the stiff arm was for?
No, it wasn't for her. No, that was
That's the way he walks off. There's the kissy.
There. Okay, a couple.
Look at him. Look at his face. Look at him looking at her.
That right there, that face right there, that is what you call extreme self-mastery.
But you know what's funny, Sarah, is he says he was mad.
Yeah, that's my point.
Well, no,
right.
but like, oh yeah, okay. What were you saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about like self-mastery. He's mad. He doesn't like it because Lamar, as we know, leads with respect. He leads with it. Everybody gets the benefit of the doubt. Everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. Lamar, you're cool. He gives you the benefit of the doubt until you disrespect him, right? And so this is some self-mastery, some self-control, because that is annoying when somebody's like in your face and saying, we're going to beat your A.
In a private room on the road in Cincinnati. Shame on the restaurant owner.
Right.
Shame on the restaurant owner. You have Lamar at your place. He's probably paying good money to be there. And I'm sure they're living large with Zay, and he said Eddie was there as well.
Yeah.
And it's just open season in a private room. What are we doing here?
That is what's weird is he says it's supposed to be private, and that's like, and you get it, right? Like you literally wouldn't be able to have a meal if you didn't have a private room if you're Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Like you will never get through your entire meal.
Exactly.
And sometimes, by the way, you just got to eat and go. Like sometimes you got a schedule to keep up with.
Precisely.
And so first of all, he showed self-control by just being playful and nice and just saying, hey, it's going to be her fault, and takes this and smiles while, and even if it's like an older lady, somebody's in your face saying, we're going to beat your A, that could be triggering, right?
Yeah.
And instead he's like playful and nice, as you said. And the other thing is like, I'm surprised if he said that the owner kept letting people in. Like at some point, like you just be like, bro, like, can you stop letting people in? You know,
sure.
like obviously he's not going to go back there again. And I will say this. So Bobby, usually we bleep curse words when we can, if we don't accidentally miss it. This one I didn't bleep because his impersonation, if I had bleeped it, like it's the arse part that he nails. Right?
The arse part.
Yeah. Like it was key to the impersonation, the way he said it. So
yes,
I left it in. Hopefully if my kids listen, sorry.
Yes.
You know, like I normally don't do that, but
you are hysterical.
That was hilarious.
You are hysterical. You really are. The arse part. That's got to be quoted, guys. The arse part right there. Put that on a graphic. Oh goodness. Shall we get into Roquan?
Yeah, Roquan, and into locker room and pressers from yesterday beyond the Lamar and Jayden comparison.
All right, cool. Yeah, because like as we've noticed here in recent weeks, Roquan's getting back to that previous mojo, that previous only row one-liner that we had such a great time getting to know inside the vault last season. So hopefully that means that better times for this defense as a whole are on the horizon. But here he is talking about the Jayden Daniels rookie matchup.
Facing Lamar in practice all the time, how do you feel like that helps you in defending Jayden Daniels?
There's only one Lamar at the end of the day. Make no mistake about that. But Lamar is a little different in practice, truth be told, than he is in the game time. But got a lot of respect for this rookie. Jayden and what he's done thus far this season. So we're very excited about the matchup and knowing he brings a lot to the table, as well as the running backs, the receiver, and the offensive line is playing well for those guys. But hey, it's the NFL. We're looking forward to it. And at the end of the day, he's still a rookie, but he's definitely playing good ball.
The Ravens have a really good record against rookie quarterbacks. Is there something to going against a rookie from a mindset standpoint?
I think we just as a defense, we give things that a lot of other teams don't really give throughout the league in sense of our disguises, coverages, and just the way we play the game of football. So it'll definitely be something new, and he definitely hasn't seen a defense like ours this season. So we just got to come out clicking on our cylinders, and when we do that, we'll be at our best.
Okay, a couple of things on that. He's 100% right. There's only one Lamar. We've kind of established that in the topic before. So, but I like the way he said it. There's only one Lamar. Make no mistake about that. The other line where he says, Jayden hasn't seen a defense like ours. I haven't seen a Ravens defense like this in years. So
that one got a little bit of play, didn't it, Sarah? Yes, it did.
Listen, Roquan's being Roquan, and I don't hate it. Like, a player's got to have that attitude, and Roquan is the leader of that defense, and we've loved his talk. It's easier to talk when you're number one, when you're the number one defense in the entire league. I understand that, but he can't change who he is just because the defense is struggling. So I get it from a player perspective, but he left himself open for sure and being like, they haven't seen a defense like ours. Yeah, you mean like the one that's ranked, what are they now? Are they 28th in pass defense? I'll have to look it up here.
I actually have that number right here.
Okay.
It's not something that I think any of us are going to want to see.
Please?
Ravens defense here in terms of total, they're 19th. Total defense is 19th, but pass defense specifically, what were they? Okay, before I give you this number, do you remember where they were going into week 5?
Well, I know they had moved up a little bit. They were bad, but then they moved up by because they were number 32. Then I think they went all the way up to 20, the low 20s because they played so well against Allen.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they dropped again.
Oh, they dropped. All right.
Where are they at?
Second to last.
So they're to 31.
Yep.
So they were at 32 before the Bills, then moved up to the low 20s, and now they're back to 31.
Here's the number going into last weekend. They dropped 2 spots.
Wait, before last weekend, it was only...
They dropped from... So going into... My mind's everywhere. They played Cincy. Going into Cincy last weekend, they were the 29th ranked pass defense, and now they're the 31st going into Washington.
What were they overall ranked?
Oh, shoot. I just closed out of it.
Oh. Quick on that trigger.
Yeah. So, but in other words, kind of like Bill Belichick said on Inside the NFL yesterday, it ain't pretty right now. So much so, people are having fun with this secondary.
It's had a lot of trouble stopping the Cincinnati passing game, and it seemed like every time they handed the ball off, I think I saw the Ravens bench cheering.
Hey, absolutely. We ain't got to cover Jamar and T.
Mm-hmm. Sarah, when I tell you that at the gym, I had to rewind that clip multiple times to figure out what he was saying. He mumbles. Listen to it once.
He is a mumbler.
Was anybody else with me on that? Did you guys understand what he said at first glance? Okay, listen to this.
I did, but that's because you told me what he said.
Yes,
so
yes.
Yeah,
I'm really curious to hear the live chat because I feel like I have decent recall, like decent listening when no matter what I'm doing in terms of consuming things, in terms of the understanding of words. I had no idea what he said.
And they handed the ball off. I think I saw the Ravens bench cheering.
I saw the Ravens bench cheering.
Yes.
Honestly, it sounded like Ed Sheeran.
Oh my, that is hilarious. Literally at the gym all morning. I was probably on the treadmill for 10 more minutes longer than I typically am at the end of my workout because I just couldn't figure it out. And that is exactly what I'm like, did I miss the Sheeran reference?
Yeah, I was like, was Ed Sheeran at the game? What's going on here?
Was there a joke that went over my head, So anyway, point is, yes, there's a lot of people that are poking fun, let's say, playfully at this defense, and they have opened up the door for that. Should we have Kyle Hamilton sort of temper nerves here?
Yes, but real quick.
Yeah.
I saw a clip. Speaking of Bill Belichick, this isn't about the Ravens, but Bill Belichick was on the Manning cast
Yeah.
for the Chiefs Monday night game, and he's in the middle of giving his mumbling analysis, and then Travis Kelce makes a catch, a great catch, and he's sitting there analyzing Kelsey's catch, but of course the TV cameras shoot to Taylor Swift, and all he says is "oh." He's in the middle of talking about how great Travis Kelce is, and then goes up there and he's like, "Oh," he didn't need to say anything else. He tried to move on from it. He was trying not to bury her, but all it needed was that one little painful grunt that he was like, "Oh," and it was like, "Okay, we see how you feel about Taylor."
Bill, he's been on one lately. He's been torching the Jets, just like straight up, whether it was about the firing, whether it's about the instability of the franchise, or he literally, like, on this Inside the NFL segment that we just shared, like a 12-second clip of about the Ravens. Right after that, he goes on to be like, you guys do understand that the Jets have won a quarter of their games over the last like quarter century or something. Like he just said something that was just so, you can't come back from that as a Jets fan base. And so not only is he doing that, but his media career is through the roof. And I think, Sarah, he's dating somebody who's younger than me.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's like
Isn't that
72, 73.
Like, just, I feel like he's always either did it or maybe it's the same young woman, but I feel like he's typically done that.
Oh, yeah. But to this extent, though, I think I want to say that I'm 30. I think she's younger than me. And Bill, I think, turned 73 at some point in the coming months. So anyway, the Bill Belichick retirement life, if he is retired, I mean, maybe he'll get involved in this upcoming hiring cycle.
Even while he was coaching, he was dating young women.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Phew, boy. Well, do your thing, Bill. Do your thing. Where to?
Well,
Kyle?
One more thing on Bill. Sorry.
Okay.
Part of what's so great about when he does poke fun at like he did here with the Ravens secondary, it's just him being genuine. He's not like up late at night like an ESPN analyst would be thinking of lines, right? Like he's just saying it how he sees it as a coach. And so that's what makes it even better. Like he's not even trying to bury you. Yes. So it's the fact that he's burying you without even trying to be mean. Like he's just calling it how he sees it. That's what makes it so fun to listen to, if you can make it out.
Sure.
Yeah. Exactly. Sorry, now let's move on. Sorry.
Well, Kyle Hamilton's calling it like he sees it and maybe calming some nerves within the fan base as well.
Yeah, I think it's most of our problems is nothing structural, it's just fundamental stuff. I mean, we got to tackle, we got to get off blocks, we got to communicate. And, we've been saying this for 5 weeks now, so it's time to start actually doing it and, just not coming up here and just saying it.
How important is it to kind of get some of those explosives contained when you have a guy like Jayden Daniels who's thrown some really nice go balls this year?
Yeah, no, especially against somebody like him and the team and what they've been able to do up until now. But, I mean, I feel like we've had plays like that in every game, and it's just a matter of us decreasing those plays happening because I feel like other than that, we're having pretty good games. And it's up to us on the back end to get that fixed and go out there and play a complete game.
Still so young, Sarah, but seemingly always seems to be the voice of reason for this defense.
It reminds me of when was it when they beat the Bills and right afterwards he's like, it was a good win, but we didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Like he just is like, he doesn't get too high and he doesn't get too low, just like Lamar, and so I like that. And then even the way he said, he's like, yeah, but we've been saying that for a couple weeks now. So it's going to be time for us to stop saying it and actually do it. Mm-hmm. Bobby, may I interject a quick video here that I reminded myself when I said Bill Belichick doesn't come up with lines to like entertain you. Sure. It reminded me, this is somewhat off topic, but Stephen A. Smith recently it's a 5-second clip.
Yeah.
He was asked, the First Take was doing a segment on whether or not the Cleveland Browns should bench Deshaun Watson. And that he stayed up late coming up with this line, but it was perfect. Listen to this.
Deshaun Watson is awful. It's so awful that if somebody wanted to arrest him for being awful, I would accept it. It's that bad.
I don't mean to laugh. I don't mean to laugh either.
Look, they're putting their heads down.
Look at Look at Shannon.
Orlovsky's just like trying not to laugh. He's trying so hard not to laugh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, Sarah, on this AFC North roundtable last night, Chef Zay, who I really do enjoy him. He's the Browns creator. Super level-headed guy. Nice dude, especially off the camera. We got to know each other a little bit, but he literally looked like somebody, to use the Ben Cleveland reference from a few weeks ago. He looks like his baby was punched. Like, if he had a baby,
he said that?
He was so defeated. No. I'm just saying, like, he came across as if he was so defeated.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought you said
distraught.
I thought you said that he said that Deshaun Watson looked like a guy who's okay.
Oh,
sorry.
no. Zay, the creator himself, because of what Deshaun and his Browns have done or not done so far through 5 weeks, he's disheveled.
Well,
he's
how
distraught.
could you not be?
He's just like,
bro.
The guy couldn't even properly analyze last night because he was so dang upset. And can you blame him? Can you blame him? Really
well, I can't blame him because, again, it's like we dedicate so much time to covering our individual teams. And even if you take the approach that you have, right, which is that you just try to remain an objective journalist, not trying to root for anybody, anything like that. But still, it's even as an objective journalist, it's so much more fun and positive to cover a winning team. Like, it's just such negative juju all the time. And like, we dedicate such a large chunk of our lives doing it that how can he not be depressed? You know, how can he, it's tough.
What's going on with Charlie Kolar?
Okay, this is funny. We all know Lamar doesn't throw any teammates under the bus when they are playing bad. Okay. But he doesn't hesitate to have a little fun with guys that like to joke. And so at his presser, they ask him about one Charlie Kolar, who is becoming one of the most likable Ravens on this team. Just his personality is so fun. He doesn't take himself seriously. He just is a cool dude. Okay. A goofy dude, but a cool dude. Okay. So Lamar's asked about him and the breakout game that he had. And of course, Lamar's like, well, I'm not going to let him have too much of a big head here. So he says, quote, we've been known what Charlie can do. Like, that's not surprising to us what he just did. Okay. It's a typical quarterback line. Okay. It was just up to him to make the catch and the yards after the catch. Then he gives the singer. And hopefully scoring next time and not just getting caught all the time.
I remember that. Yeah. That was under the radar a little bit, the way he said it. Nobody really got any reaction out of that.
Yes. No, I heard it for sure. And here's what's funny. So there was a Wired, which I got the audio of with some screen grabs. I try to give you a heads up since we can't see all the subtitles to it since we got screen grabs. But basically, Kolar's coming off the field after that gorgeous pass from Lamar when they had 4 verts coming out of 22 personnel. Okay. And Lamar leads him perfectly. Like, it was just almost like somebody was guiding the ball along perfectly into his fingertips in stride so that he could keep running. And frankly, should have scored, and many people would, if they may have been faster than Kolar. So Kolar comes off asking his teammates how he looked. Everybody's commenting on it. So see if you can pick up as much audio as possible.
Hey, that man must not want to score. He stepped out of the one.
That looked fast or slow?
It looked fast, but should have scored. That's the other.
I feel like he had a good angle, so I tried to stiff arm him.
Why did you dive?
I should have dove.
He was too far away.
I dove.
I didn't dove from the 4
I got bunnies like that. Hey, chill out.
You know he ain't got bunnies.
I do, just not when I'm that fatigued.
I didn't dove from the 4-yard line.
How many yards was it? I started myself in fantasy, so I'm playing well.
Charlie's voice kills me.
First of all, I love how they like hold back on each other. It's like, bro, like, so even Mark Andrews, who's also like low key, like he's intense, but he doesn't joke around a lot. So he's like, well, you looked fast, but you should have scored when he asks Mark. Everybody else is like, you obviously didn't want to score. Then somebody's going to have to educate me because I don't have this Gen Z language yet about, I don't know if it's Gen Z or just football language or what, but he was like, hey, I got bunnies. Chill out.
Just guy can jump through the
Oh,
roof.
he can jump. Okay, okay, and then I should have gotten that. So, but I like the way he said, he's like, "Hey, I got bunnies, chill out."
Yeah.
And then he has himself in fantasy. I cut it off, but like later they were like, "Yeah, but you would have done really well in fantasy if you had scored." So
This guy, man, we're learning more and more about him. He's starting to, when you become a focal point, you typically get more exposure around you. And gosh,
Yeah.
was that a buttery throw and a catch from him? And he's got plenty of yak ability. So yeah, the expectation should be, come on, punch it in for 6, Charlie.
Here's what's crazy, Bobby. So Dave Kluge says the NFL tight end with PFF's best receiving grade so far this season is on the Baltimore Ravens. And it isn't Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely.
With a photo of 88 spiking it.
Look at him spike that. Now, granted, he has like less targets, so it's a low sample size, but that's kind of fun that he literally has the highest receiving grade of all NFL tight ends right now. That man right there, Charlie Kolar, who sets himself up to be made fun of. And that's why I kind of like him.
And the self-deprecating humor is
Yeah.
always something that's well received. So good on you, Charlie, making Dennis Pitta proud with that 88 jersey, spiking the heck out of that football. All right, injury report from Wednesday. We'll learn more about this in the coming days, obviously, including coming up with practice starting any minute. And we'll, of course, keep you updated on Fridays, Ravens lunch hour live stream. But kind of a hefty list here. So we'll see. Names like Bateman with a groin, who was a DNP, certainly sticks out to you just given his past injury history, but also it has been past groins or a groin that has plagued him. Marlon Humphrey, of course, because of the fact that we learned through the reporters that were in Cincinnati that he left the Bengals stadium with a boot on that foot. Well, it's his ankle is the designation. He was a DNP on Wednesday. Charlie Kolar was as well. He was limited, though, with a toe. Arthur Maulette, who continues to ramp up from the IR activation, he was a DNP with a knee and hamstring. So definitely a soft tissue setback there, Sarah, like they shared with us last week. And I don't know what that means for his timeline, but definitely something that kind of screwed up his return, it looks like. Yeah. And then Roger Rosengarten, just given what happened to him last week, having to go out for, Josh Jones came in relief of him for a bit. He pops up with an ankle and a hand designation. He was limited. Ronnie Stanley was a DNP with a toe. Voorhees, good news here, ankle, full participant. He's missed the last couple weeks. Broderick Washington's a new name on this list with a knee. He was a DNP. Deontay Hardy, who was a last-minute scratch last week because of that knee that popped up at the end of the week. I thought it was an ankle that popped up last week, but regardless, he was limited on Wednesday. Malik Harrison was a DNP. And Rasheen Ali was a full participant trying to ramp himself back up from that IR stint to begin the year with that neck.
So John Harbaugh was asked specifically about Rashad, and he gave a more generic answer for everybody. He said, all the things I would categorize as being just normal after game type of things that you deal with at this point in the season. So we'll see. The injury report that matters most is Friday, obviously, but we'll obviously keep an eye on Marlon Humphrey. I didn't expect him to play if they put him in a boot as a what seems like, based off of comments, seems like it was precaution, but you're not going to feel good until you at least see him out there Friday. Definitely. If he can get out there. Rashad Bateman was probably the one that was a little bit surprising. I don't remember anything popping up during the game. Like he never left, right? Like I felt like he finished the game. So maybe Harbaugh's right that one's not a big deal. Deontay Hardy kind of popped up out of nowhere right before the game. So, but he's limited, so he's back. But yeah, I feel bad for Arthur Maulette, man. He's had that setback. And the Ravens, if he can't get back out there this week or next week, then the Ravens are going to have to make a decision because you only have 21 days to practice, and then they have to decide, are we going to keep you on IR permanently, or are we going to activate you to the roster?
Right.
So that decision is still more than a week away, but something to monitor for sure.
We'll sneak a few more super chats in here. Jermaine Sawyer says, Jayden isn't the typical rookie. Jayden Daniels, Washington Commanders QB. But Baltimore has a history of making rookies look mid. Rowe, I need you to get them boys hitting everything moving. Hashtag flock up. Joey Worthy says,
what are the Ravens against rookies? Is it like something crazy, like 10-1? I'll look it up.
Yeah, you do that. Joey Worthy says, excited for Zach. And John Harbaugh's had a ton of success against them. I don't know if, Jermaine was talking about under Harbaugh's tenure or just, franchise-wide. But, they've had a lot of success against rookies last year, included with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I still feel bad for that guy who was for Cleveland, his first career start dealing with the Ravens defense last year. Joey Worthy, thanks for the Super Chat donation, my friend. Excited for Zach Orr's development, but I have to admit it would have been interesting to see how McDonald would utilize Simpson and Wiggins. Netbos, just watched the lunch break hot take, and you handle your business. I wasn't on your side at first, but now I see MAGA Bobby is him. That was a label that was attached to me totally randomly because of past conservative-leaning retweets that I've had. So MAGA Bobby is not something that I refer to myself as. It was what they labeled me as inaccurately. And but thank you, Nepos, for the love. Dream says we got to do better with these likes, Flocks, and the game Sunday. We got to do better with these likes, Flock.
Yes, please.
And
like
the game Sunday should be another great game. I expect the defense to play a lot better than last week. And Dreams, appreciate you for rallying the troops. If you guys are enjoying today's show, please like the video. It means so much on the back end in terms of discoverability and the analytics on the business side of YouTube.
Ravens all-time are 15-2 against rookie quarterbacks at home. And this game will obviously be at M&T.
So that's pretty darn successful there.
Pretty good.
Look what the King's doing. Not only does he lead the league in rushing through 5 weeks, but look at where he ranks among some categories, thanks to PFF here. Overall grade, first, 90.3. Rushing yards, first, like you see on the screen on the right-hand side. Second in yards after contact with 318, and tied for first in rushing touchdowns with 6. The guy is literally an ascending player, and we continue to say that week after week after week. How about when Super Chats come in after we're live?
Yeah, I know.
Can we get a hat tip to those guys?
Seriously, before we get to that, just wanted to say one thing. Emmitt Smith had some nice things to say about Derrick Henry joining the 10,000 rushing yards club. I believe he's the 32nd person to ever do it. So Emmitt Smith welcomed into the club, and he was asked about that yesterday, and it meant a lot to Derrick because he was like, he said to us, he's like the Michael Jordan of running backs, right? Emmitt Smith. So it meant a lot to him to be able to enter into that company with that Hall of Famer. But yes, Super Chat. So yesterday, just minding my own business, and then I get
Phil?
Yeah,
What's good,
thank
Phil?
you, Phil. What's good, Phil? Yesterday, Phil, out of nowhere, I see it. Like, usually we only get Super Chats during the live show. I didn't even know you could do it when it's not live. So I'm learning things about YouTube here. But I don't know. It was like sometime yesterday evening. He writes to us on tomorrow's show, please talk about Emmanuel Acho, his clear hypocrisy and negative agenda towards Lamar. He admitted openly today that he was ready to go in on Lamar after his fumble, but has barely even mentioned Burrow's interception, which one can rightfully argue is what cost them the game, at least in regulation. Even after Shady mentions it, Acho doesn't even address it. So who am I to deny a yellow Super Chat request? So I went this morning and I found the segment he was talking about. Let me start with James Jones. And the segment, the question that was presented to the panel for this segment was, does Joe Burrow get a pass? Because obviously, I think he's leading NFL quarterbacks, maybe in passing yards, maybe passing touchdowns also. So James Jones delivers here.
It's on me. Everyone looking at you, big dog.
Tell you what, Sarah.
Oh shoot, I forgot.
Yeah, so
I should have had a just do the audio.
Let's do what I did last time, but I'm trying to figure out.
I will be leaving for a second while you figure that. I know however you do it, somehow I'm kicked out for a second, but I can still hear it.
What did I do last time?
How did you do that? What's funny is there's, just to fill people in as you look it up, ESPN doesn't put out copyrights on their shows as long as we're not showing game footage or game footage. But Fox does. So we have to put screen grabs, but we can use the audio. Well, I forgot to put a screen grab on this one.
Going back to what Sarah said earlier, I'm in some hot water again with the NFL from a copyright standpoint, which they are in the right to do. It's just
you're learning new stuff every time now.
I received a fifth memo yesterday, and so that's kind of what we were referencing earlier on, and we're going to obviously cooperate, and we have cooperated. I have cooperated with every single memo that I've received. It's just there's so much nuance when it comes to NFL IP that we have to make sure that we're abiding by, and so we're just being very, very, very careful with the way in which we produce. So how did I do this last time?
Is it because you pulled me out and then you played it? Is that what it was?
What the heck did I do? I think I had a couple different things going on at once. So let's see here.
If you want, we can revisit it.
This is what this is about. And now we're going to go like this. Man. How did I do that?
I don't know. I asked you yesterday. I was like, how the heck did you do that?
All right, hold on. Let's try something else here. Ready?
Him the same way we grade Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson lost that game, right?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Come on now, he gets it. Josh Allen, he gonna get it. Everybody gets it, so we gotta give him the same type of blame.
I was ready to go in on Lamar because he fumbled again.
Come on, man. Come on.
Ball goes off of his hands. I was like, bro, if the Bengals go on to win this game, I can't wait.
You was getting ready.
And in the same breath, when Joe Burrow fumbles against the Chiefs, to James Jones's point, like, we can't omit fumbles because of glorious performances elsewhere, especially not fumbles for touchdowns. I sat on an island, and he did play well, the person I'm about to say. When Jalen Hurts fumbled in the Super
Aha, now I know why you brought it in here. Let's bring you back in.
Now I know how you did it. You just put yourself full screen.
Yep.
Okay, so there's Shady. He was like, I was ready to go in on Lamar. So he was pointing out, we played these in reverse order because James asked everybody who would get a pass. And they were pointing out that Lamar would not get a pass. And Acha was like, you know what? You're right, because I was ready to go in on him. So I was like, okay, at least you're admitting it now. Yep. But let's go back to James Jones, and I'll add it to the stage, and you put yourself full screen.
Joe don't get no pass, man. Joe and the quarterback shouldn't even give him a pass. I just want yes or no answers.
Yes, sir.
All right, just yes or no from all of y'all. From all of y'all, and I'll go individually.
Yes, sir.
If Jalen Hurts was 1-4 right now, would he get a pass?
Come on now.
Yes. No. Would he get a pass?
No, sir.
Would he get a pass?
He played like this.
Yes. If Lamar Jackson, they hate on Lamar so much, it's 1-4 right now. Would he get a pass?
Me, sir.
Would he get a pass?
He would, yeah. If he played like this.
You gotta skip him. You just gotta, because he ain't wrong.
It's true, though.
Oh, my goodness. If Josh Allen was 1-4 right now, would he get a pass? And we know he put up numbers. Would he still get a pass?
No. They hate on Josh, too. Yeah, he would. He put it like this.
If Aaron Rodgers was 1-4 right now,
you gotta be real.
Because he ain't even getting a pass at 2-3. He would not get a pass.
No. Of course not.
So how are we giving Joe Burrow a pass?
We're going to get Justin Fields a pass, though. He going to get a pass.
James came prepared, didn't he?
Well, and here's the thing. I do appreciate it was Chase Daniels who was saying, like, as long as you're consistent, I'm cool. Like, Chase Daniels does want to give him, I guess in their words, a pass because if it weren't for Joe Burrow, the Bengals aren't even they're not even competitive, right? So while the Bengals are 1-4, Burrow is playing his butt off. He didn't play his butt off against the Patriots, but he's playing his butt off. Okay,
Best
so
part
I
of his
can
career.
appreciate that when Lamar has played his butt off, but maybe had a bad play towards the end. None of us want to like bury Lamar because it's like, well, they wouldn't even be in it if it weren't for Lamar. So Chase is basically saying, yeah, I personally would get all these guys a pass if they were playing like Burrow. I appreciate that. I appreciate that context. To me, the question is the wrong question. To me, it's like, it's can a quarterback finish? Like, I don't care what they're basically saying is it doesn't matter what happened through 3.5 quarters. if you can't finish and deliver in the end. Bobby, yesterday I went and picked my son up from a baseball scrimmage. They were just scrimmaging themselves. And he gets in the car and he's like, you will not believe what just happened today. And I'm like, hit me with it. What happened? And he's like, well, they pulled out because they wanted to rest their pitcher's arm. So they pulled out the pitching machine and they set it for 90. And in a game, Gardner's never hit. That's my oldest son. He's 15. He's never hit something that's 90. Well, he comes in there. He's telling me, he's like, Mom, I line drived, like just right over second base, a 90-mile-per-hour ball that came right at me. And he got a double off of it and he got to second. So he's flying high. And I'm like giving him compliments, this and that. I'm like, good for you, dude. Like I told you, we keep at it. You're going to get it. And he's like, no, but let me finish. And I'm like, uh-oh. And the next batter up, he hits it and it was somewhat low. So Gardner felt like he could just take off and run. But his teammate made a play on the ball and dove for it and caught it. And then quickly threw it to second and Gardner got caught. And so he was out. And so it's like, cool, you hit a 90-mile-per-hour ball, but you didn't finish. And so does it matter that he made that growth to hit that? Sure. But all that goes down on the clipboard for his coaches is he got caught, he got out, and he, you know what I mean? He got caught on the next, like that's what gets recorded. They don't record how fast the pitch was, right? And so that's kind of the point, is it's like, what makes Patrick Mahomes great, or what made Tom Brady great, or some of these guys, is that they finish. Bobby, I grew up watching John Elway. And the Denver Broncos, when I grew up watching them, we were always terrible in the first 3.5 quarters. But I'd be sitting there, feet up. I'm chill, because I knew John Elway, with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, was always going to get it done. Always. And for quarterbacks, that's what matters most. You have to stay in it just enough until you finish. 1 and 4 is not finishing. It's just not. Now, in this game, luckily, Lamar had some of his teammates that had his back, including Justin Tucker and Derrick Henry, whereas Joe Burrow didn't have, the holder didn't have his back, right? And so, because they both kind of faltered at the end. But at the end of the day, what these guys are getting to is quarterbacks have to finish. They have to finish. And that you can come down hard on them for. Pass, I don't like the word pass. No, nobody gets a pass. But you've got to finish. And if you want to be great, and if you want to win a Super Bowl, you have to learn to finish.
Let's talk Davante Adams, Tayshaun Reed. I think is he a Vegas reporter? I want to say he's out, and Tayshaun Reed might be the Athletic.
He's athletic for sure. I don't remember
Raiders.
where he's at, but he's athletic.
Yeah, and one of his most recent reports is just basically tallying up the teams that are out and in on Davante Adams. He's got the teams that are out as being Kansas City, Dallas, Baltimore, and Washington. And still in, Jets, Saints, Steelers, and Bills. And as you transcribed yesterday, a reporter noted to Lamar that Ravens fans often cry out for the team to sign receivers like Davante Adams when they potentially become available. The question that he was asked as a result, how satisfied are you with your own pass-catching weapons? He didn't really answer the question.
Well, no, he did. I actually wish the question, it was Jeff. Jeff is really good, but the way that Jeff ended the question set him up perfectly to not have to even answer about Adams. Because the question was, he's like, but how satisfied are you with your weapons? Because he's saying every time a wide receiver comes out, they're crying for it. But how satisfied are you? So Lamar is like, well, my guys are doing great. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, fullbacks. Our guys are doing it all right now, and we're winning games. That's all that matters. So the way the question was phrased, Lamar didn't even have to answer about Davante.
Just went the complimentary route instead.
Yep.
And one final.
This is funny.
What is it?
So
Isaiah's look.
Yeah. So obviously this is Isaiah's catch from Lamar's insane scramble and stiff arm. And E on Twitter zooms in on his eyes, which is looking down while he's in the middle of the air. And he said, bro said, I'ma make sure this toe gets in this time.
That's good. That is good. How did he zoom in? What made him think, I want to zoom in on this,
I'm sure. I don't know. I mean, he's just looking at it. I don't know. So that's funny.
This was also funny. It is clear what the plan is in Seattle coming up this weekend. Mike Mack wearing a hat, run the damn ball. And he said, quote, "My hat says all you need to know about our plan. Things are not as sunshine and rainbows as they were right off the top of the season when they won their first couple.
Have they lost a couple now?
Yeah, or at least one. Let's see what they're up to here. Not that you guys care. I'm sure.
Well, I care.
I'm sure a lot of people don't, but let's see. The Seahawks are 3-2, and they've lost their last two after starting 3-0. They lost to Detroit, and they lost to the Giants. Next up, San Francisco. All right, let's get to some patrons. Bryson, Big Fesh, we appreciate you both. Thank you for being involved in the Patreon community, the Vault Patreon community. We appreciate you. We thank you for the support. And this is your monthly shout out. If you guys are interested in doing the same, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast to learn more about what we're offering. You can support the channel. Just keep in mind for as little as $1.99 by clicking on that link that we have included in the show notes below. I think we have at least two other super chat donations. Diesel Doctor with a $10 one says the Commanders fans have been insufferable. Their young quarterback is doing his thing, but it's hard for a rook to come and beat us at the bank. Defense needs movement and disguise to give him a long day. And Bosef says, did you catch in Justin Tucker's interview when he mentioned regardless of the ball placement, you have to make the kick? I did not catch that. And which interview are you referring to, Bosef?
Yeah, it was this Wednesday or Sunday?
I like this from Cynthia, not a super chat, but just the fact that we're over the pond. Any excuse I have, I'm taking it to throw this up here. Cynthia Brooks says, you guys are the best. I live in Germany and listen to the Vault every day. I absolutely love that. Whereabouts, Cynthia? It's such a fun time of year to be in Europe. Man, I love fall in Europe.
I'm going to go look for that Justin Tucker interview.
Cool.
Because I'd like to know in what context he's saying that. Because if he's talking about it.
Oh, Bosa says it was in the locker room. So it was the post-game locker room. Yeah, he goes for a couple minutes on the YouTube. It's on the Ravens YouTube channel.
Now, I did notice in that interview, just because I saw Acho, of all people, gave Justin Tucker compliments because he said every time he was talking about something negative that was messed up, he said I, but when he was successful, he said we. So that was nice.
Yeah.
Was the question directed at him about the Bengals kick, or was he just basically saying he holds himself to that standard?
I'm sure it was about it. I'm sure it was about his operation. I did listen to it, but I was doing a ton of different things at once.
We're always multitasking. Yeah.
I don't remember. How about this? Nuno, more Europeans.
What Nuno doesn't know. So for my church, I served a mission for 1.5 years when I was
That's right.
22, and I went to Porto, Portugal.
That's right.
I was all over the place. I was in a couple different areas. I'm sure Nuno would know. I was in Braga. Then I went to Senhora de Ora. I was in Pombal and Villa de Conde were the 4 places I lived. So just wanted to put those cities out there because I bet he might know them.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I know I've done Lisbon during my semester abroad, 2015 fall. Special place. That place is special, Nuno. We appreciate you for being on here with us. And Lecky, I'm not sure where Lecky's at. I started watching the Vault last 2 weeks. Keep up the great content. Something tells me, though. Something tells me that might be another European. Lecky, where are you at? Let us know where you're at. We appreciate you guys for being here. Over 1,700 of you strong concurrently watching on this Thursday. We will look ahead and officially preview Ravens Commanders coming up tomorrow and under 24 hours from right now with our friend, my friend, and it's going to be Sarah's friend after we finish up the show, but Grant Paulson from 106.7 The Fan, a huge personality when it comes to DC sports. Looking forward to getting his perspective on what these Commanders are all about. Lecky says, living in California from the islands originally. Great to have you on board, Lecky. And Cynthia is in Stuttgart, Germany. Was trying to do a super chat, but couldn't figure out how to donate euros. It is all good. And Holly, yes, there will be a pregame live stream, as always, for home games at the Be More Around Town tailgate, which is 801 West Ostend, coming up on Sunday. My brother TJ is going to be there with his girlfriend, so looking forward to probably getting him on the stream. Anyway, for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Thursday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. Thanks to Mantis Sleep. Thanks to all of you for popping by. We look forward to catching up with you on Friday for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream to kick off Week 6. We're getting into the weekend. Please like the video if you enjoyed the content. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell on your way out. Talk to you soon, guys. Thanks for being with us.